Hey guys, Fallen Aces here. Sorry for the late upload this week. I've been crazy busy. Just completely lost track of time. And then I was like, holy crap, it is Thursday. And it's like, oh my god, didn't put up last week's stuff. So I apologize for that. And as a bonus, this week I'm going to add an extra 2 videos just because of that. So today I've got some pretty fun stuff. I'm on the topic of simulator battles right now and takeoffs and landings. Now, I've been talking to a lot of my friends and they've been having a whole bunch of trouble just figuring out how to get their plane to fly and get out of spins and take off and land. So here's just a quick tutorial for anyone else who's having the same type of problems. So first we're gonna start off with takeoffs and landings. Just a heads up, most of this vid just a heads up, most of this video is going to be in the garage and test flights. Sorry, I know, a bit of a bummer. There'll be gameplay coming later in the week though. Alright, so we'll just do this, load it up. So takeoffs are pretty easy once you get the hang of it. When you first start off, it's crazy, but they definitely get easier. Some of the main things you want to, some of the main rules you want to know for taking off is don't use wartime emergency power, that's WEP. Don't automatically go to 100%, the torque will just wreck your plane. Don't pull don't try and get off the ground too soon, that kind of thing, or go over all that. So usually the first thing I do when I load up into a battle is I check my elevators, and then I check my rudder, and all of my stuff going on. Oh, I just set some trim there. My controls have been messed with, and it is a huge pain. Sorry about that, guys. It's really not cool of me. Sorry. There we go. Continue anyway. So, alright, there, that's fixed. Sorry about that. So anyway, check those. You don't really need to do that. That's just a personal thing I do. Force a habit. So then you want to start your engine. So to do that, the default keybind is I. You can change it to anything you really want, but I just kept it as I. Just for fun. So yeah, once you've got your engine going, I usually just start going up to 26% just to get the thing moving. Oh, what the? Can you guys see that? Oh, there's a bit of a glitch there, sorry. So you just start getting the plane moving a little bit on the ground. And let's put it up a bit more so we can actually get going. As you can see, my plane is trying to kick over to the left. That's the torque from the propeller, because it spins to the right, I believe. So the torque will just push the plane in the opposite direction. Bit of a pain. Easily solved by just using the rudder to compensate. You can also use trim, but generally when you're using mouse aim, you don't have to use trim. That's a huge bonus. Just going to interrupt that for a minute. Going to go up to 70% because we're starting to get moving. As you can see, our tail is now off the ground, so you can go right up to 100%. Pretty shaky. Oh, one off. And there we go, we're off the ground. So yeah, that's takeoffs. Now back to trim. I won't go into trim too much during the course of this video, but you don't really need it if you're using the mouse. But if you're gonna get into joystick stuff, you generally will need to do trim. I'll cover that in another joystick tutorial, hopefully coming up sometime this month. Alright, so that's takeoffs. I try and stay away from using wartime emergency power because you can actually flip your plane on the runway when you're taking off. If you use it, because if you try and pull up too soon, there won't be enough air passing over your wings, and the thing will just roll over and pancake into the deck. And that is really something you'd like to avoid. So we're going to condense a few things into this before I go and land again. Maneuvering. Now maneuvering when you're using mouse aim, that's probably the biggest shortcoming of using this. in this way because you're only, like, you're pretty much limited to just doing, like, maneuvers in the horizontal x-axis. It's really hard to do maneuvers in the vertical because the model for it is, it's pretty iffy. Because if you try and do a loop, you go completely vertical, so like 90 degrees to the horizon. You know what I mean there? And then you just stall out. So generally when you're maneuvering, try and keep it in the horizontal. That is if your mouse like, but if your joystick, then definitely utilize all the axes. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so generally, just for maneuvers, you can just violently throw your plane left and right. Now, probably not violently because you put yourself into a spin, but you see how, if you look at the center screen there, I've got like this little console thing here. Now that pretty much acts as your joystick. And this little white dot is where it's pointing. Now, when you're doing a turn, don't automatically go right to the side like that, because it's far too violent. As you can see, my plane's having a bit of a hissy fit there. Generally, just start nosing over a little bit, and then gradually get to that. You don't even need to go all the way, unless there's like something on your tail. So yeah, that's some maneuvers. You can do stuff like this as well. So look there, I'm gonna spin. It might actually be a spin of death here. Let's see if I can counter it. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're out of it. Cool. Alright, that's another thing. Sorry I'm so scatterbrained right now, guys. I'll cover that spin thing in a minute, but pretty much for maneuvering, try to keep from going up as you maneuver. Like, don't just go fully vertical, because you're such an easy target like that, and like even something with 7.6 teams can take you down at that point. Not that 7.6 teams are bad, but you know what I mean. So yeah, maneuvering like that. Just find what works best for you. Generally for me, when I have something on my 6, I call out for help, and then I start doing violent scissor movements, because if the person isn't very good, they'll overshoot you and they go right in front of your guns, they're past your firing arc, and then you can just wreck them. Usually works, because there's generally two types of players in sim battles. You have people who are either really, really good, or people who are really, really bad. There's not much of a gray area. And to make the jump between the two, it's just practice. It takes months to get good at this, and if you don't want to put in that time, I guess you should stick to realistic and arcade, but it is really rewarding once you get, like, the hang of sim battles. Anyway, sorry I'm so, like, all over the place. Now, with spins, as you just saw previously, I got into a vicious flat spin. Well, not vicious, I got out of it. But your main goal when you go into a spin is to get the nose pointing down. Like that's the best thing to do. Well, it's the only chance you have to survive. So when you get into a spin, you're gonna want to cut power, go to idle power, and whichever way you're spinning, say I'm spinning to the right, then you do left or rudder really hard, and just keep it like that. And you can just hold it like that, and if that's not working, you can use your elevator. Just like put the elevator pointing down, because then your plane hopefully will point downwards, and you can get your nose down, and then you get some air flowing over the wings again, and you can get up and spin. Oh, and that's actually how spins happen. I guess I should go into that. Now, spins happen because the air isn't passing over your wings fast enough. That's also what can happen in a stall. Because if you look at the wing of an aircraft, it's designed to splice the wind and provide lift. like that. I don't know why I'm getting into aerodynamics, sorry guys. So what happens when you stall out is there's not enough air passing over your wings, so you just like start falling from the sky. So that's how a spin happens, or flat spin. There's a few types of spins. Generally, the one you're gonna get into the most is a flat spin. And yeah, like you won't get into any of the crazy cartwheel things unless you get a wing shot off or your tail shot up. Yeah, so that's spins and maneuvering. Now spotting. That's another good thing. Pretty essential. Sorry about it. Like, this is another thing, you're either really good at spotting or you're really bad. Again, there's no real in between. You can get better at it though, but it just takes a long time. So what I do when I have to spot, I know like the weather's perfect for it right now, but just scan the horizon looking for any black dots, black or gray. And if you don't see anything, just keep doing that. Like, spend more time on one area than I am, just going like this, doesn't help. And you just gotta keep scanning the skies. You gotta constantly look around. Always look above you, don't forget. Constantly check your six. Being paranoid is actually a good thing, believe it or not, in Sim. And then if you still can't find anything, start looking for flat. That is like the key indicator to like spotting an aircraft. It might not be hostile. That's the thing. When you get into a map, like check the map and notice where the allied flak is. So you know if something is shooting, like if the AA is going up on your side. So with your flak shooting up, you know that there's an enemy plane in the vicinity because you're shooting at it. So that's a very good indicator to like spot. Yeah, so that's spotting. Oh, and if you want to be evasive, pretty much you just have to go low. So if you, like, you're going to be a sitting duck, but if you don't want to get spotted as easily, or if something spotted you and you're trying to get away from it, try and get them into a G-lock. If you play arcade, you should know what that is. It's where everything kind of grays out, because they're going to have a really hard time finding you if they're in G-lock. So just do some like violent maneuvers going downwards, and yeah. Try and avoid using bright camouflages as well. I know like this is really scatterbrained, but that's a thought process. Going over the water is also really good. It's insanely hard to spot targets over the water. Yeah. Oh, here's another thing. If you're noticing when I'm going down like that, that the sound of my engine changes, that's a carburetor failure. That only really happens on British planes. It's kind of funny, it's historically accurate. So it cuts off the fuel flow to the engine in a stall. It's the engine died float carburetor failure. So when this kind of thing happens to you, there's no fuel going into the engine, so it shuts off. So what you have to do is you have to restart it, so you just press I again. Now that only really happens if you're flying the Brits. That's just something to be aware of if you're violently maneuvering downwards. So if you have like a British plane on your tail, just try going down to force the carburetor to fail and make it stall out. And then it would be great if you can get around it. That's another thing. No, what am I saying? Okay. Aircraft types. You really gotta pick an aircraft that suits like your needs, I guess. Everyone has a different favorite when they're flying sim. For me, it's Spitfire Mark 5C or the A6M2. They're just, I know the cockpit is horrid in the Zero, but they're good planes, heavy hitters, got a decent amount of ammunition. I just like them. Hard to get into spins. that kind of thing. I'd steer clear of the German planes if you're just starting out, because they are finicky as hell. Pardon my language. So yeah, that about covers it. Oh, right, landing. I guess we should burn it down, right? And just dive down. You can watch me rip my wings off. Okay, now for landing, airspeed is key when landing. If you're using the average prop-driven plane, you want to be just below 300 kilometers an hour, so anywhere from 200, well, more like 225 to 275 kilometers per hour is a good speed to touch down on. If you're flying like a a biplane, try and touch down at like 150, 180. In jets and fast prop planes, so like the Spitfire Mark 24 or the Griffin, those are nice. You can touch down at like 300, 350. But yeah, so landing is pretty much the same sort of procedure as in arcade or realistic. You gotta get low, cut your airspeed back, and then just touch down. So what I'm gonna do, if you notice I'm still far too high, I'm at a pretty good speed, but that's gonna change as I get closer. Now make sure your airspeed isn't too low, because if it's too low you can stall with your plane before you reach the runway, or as you're reaching the runway, and then you just do a stall crash. That's really not good. Great way to bleed off speed if you're worried you're going too fast is to just do a circle before you land. Right now I don't need to do it, but just something like that. Just like leave it around to cut your airspeed. See, I'm just under 200 right now, so that's a little slow for the spit. Because as you get lower, your maneuverability goes down. I actually like the trees here. Okay, so make sure your gear's down, flaps down. Oh, if you're landing on a carrier, don't use flaps. I'll get into that in a minute. Let's see, this is gonna be probably a pretty rough one here. Going a little too slow. Just make sure you keep that nose up. Yep, see, there it goes. Alrighty. So that is what not to do when you're landing. I can't believe I did that. That is super embarrassing. So yeah, that's what happens if you're going too slow, not enough air passes over your wings, and you drop out of the sky. So here, I'll just skip back to it in a minute and show you guys a proper landing. Alright, now for landings, here's take 2 again. So you gotta get your airspeed down to a suitable speed, not rip your gear off. If you're going too fast, that'll happen, and that's super embarrassing. I'm at a pretty good speed right now. Watch, I'm gonna maybe run into a tower or something. Alright, so you gotta keep your nose up, keep the plane level, and just ever so slightly just tap down on that. Perfect. Then you can just brake. Make sure your nose isn't going to pitch up and do a fair landing. Now, if you're running out of tarmac to stop, a good thing to do is just rudder to one side. Make sure you don't I flipped. But yeah, there you go. Alright, so that was the sim tutorial, guys. Hope you liked it. I'll do another one on how to get kills and a more in-depth one later on sometime this month. Also, if you want a joystick tutorial version, feel free to ask for one, and I will get that to you. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Have fun playing whatever it is you play, and I'll catch you next time.